Friends, it's John Klein third of episode 161 of Shadow and Flame with Magic. And today we're going to review New X-Men Volume 2, Issue 43. So let's get into it. And if you want to follow along, I made videos on both TikTok and YouTube at Jacko SIII that you can follow along with. This comic came out in December 2007. It's Children of the X-Men, Part 2 of 2. Previously in X-Men. The enemies of the new X-Men are on the move. The Purifiers, led by Matthew Risman, have unleashed a creature that hunts and feeds on mutants called Predator X. Risman has vengefully given it the scent of Sora Credier, aka Dust, who disfigured him in the Purifier's failed assault on the Xavier Institute. But the new X-Men are oblivious to this threat. As they're dealing with their own problems, the senior X-Men are evaluating the kids, and the kids are in rough shape physically and emotionally. They've been depowered, killed, and tortured since M-Day, and now Indra has been identified as the youngest mutant at the Institute, which many students believe makes him a target. And then Surge kissed Hellion right in front of everyone, including her boyfriend David. Story by Christopher Yost and Craig Kyle, legendary creative team. Script by Christopher Yost, pencils and ink by Scotty Young, colors by Scotty Young and Jean Francis Benoit. Letters, Dave Sharpell. Production, Irene Lee. Assistant editor, Daniel Kitchum. Editor, Nick Lowe. Editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada. Publisher, Dan Buckley. X-23, created by Craig Kyle, which I always think she was created by both of them, but I guess not, huh? The Xavier Institute earlier, and Cyclops and Surge are talking. She's debating about if it was worth saving Jean or not. And Scott's like, what else would I have done? I love her. Like, we only had one choice but to save her. And Surge wonders what if you could have saved her, but she hated you for it? Would it be worth it then? And we cut to now where Surge is making out with Hellion, and David's upset, but also Laura's upset. And so everyone chases everyone off. Uh, Indra, mutant named Paris, is concerned about being killed as he's the youngest one, and Rockslide agrees to do the first shift. Meanwhile, Predator X, animal mutant amalgamation hunter, current target Sharar Quader, aka Dust, and it's wintertime. And then we cut to David, who's being visited by Mindy and her two cuckoo sisters, and they're offering to restore his mutant powers because his mutant ability was to know all the skills of people around him. And so when he lost his mutant powers, he also lost that knowledge. But they realize that he actually has that knowledge just somewhere locked away in his head, and they can give him access to those powers. And he agrees to do so. And then we see Rockslides playing video games with um or Indra, and Rockslide explodes next to him, which causes Indra to armor up, which I'm not really that familiar with him. I know he came back during Kakoa, but yeah, I'm not lose track of him. And then we get this lousy scene of Laura who cut herself in the bathroom, and Mercury's trying to console her, but it's like, ugh, I mean, I guess it's good representation, but I hate it for her. Then we see Hellion is sitting on top of a Sentinel head. I guess it's oh yeah, this is M Day, so there's just Sentinels hovering around. So usually they want to be so cool if a mutant is sitting on their technology. Dust comes up to check on him. He appreciates it, so that's nice. We see Elixir is turning emo, going from gold skin to dark skin. And then we see the students are having a campfire indoors, and because one of the mutants has a flame head, which they don't name him, so I do not know which one this is. And then Beast shows up with a box of uniforms, and he assures everyone they're bulletproof, so that makes people a little more excited. Um, Prodigy comes in to confront Surge, who's just wants him out of the mansion. So she's doing that classic teen drama of just trying to turn your current boyfriend to an ex-boyfriend so they leave you alone for their own protection, of course. And during the confrontation, Hellion walks in as Prodigy gets Surge's arm behind her back. And so now he wants to confront her. And then Prodigy knocks Hellion out, stating Israeli Specialist Forces training. Wolverine and Shadowcat know it. And now I do too. There are three parts of the body that are essentially unbreakable. I just used all three of them. And they got established that Kitty knows Krav Maga from Logan. And in Excalibur Volume 187, the first part of the Soul Sword trilogy, which always bothered me because it's not a trilogy, it's just three issues. So it's just a three-parter then. But anyways, um, but if I remember correctly, it's the skin between your index finger and your thumb, where we call that webbing. It's your base of your palm, base of the palm, webbing. Ugh. And your elbow. And so, yeah, I was just looking at the art to confirm that. So yeah, webbing, palm, and elbow. Yeah. And then he just walks away. Meanwhile, the Astral Plane Xavier Institute faculty meeting, which has Kitty Pryde and the astonishing X-Men team. And Kitty's like, I'm worried about Josh Foley. Have you any of you talked to him since Limbo? He's kind of spooky. And Beast explains that he had a massive power upgrade as he was able to reconstruct Prodigy's heart. Logan's upset because Pixie used her dust on him, and he did not care for that. Colossus concerned that everyone's being distracted by Indra being the youngest mutant, and he's wondering if there's any truth to that theory that the youngest mutant should be the target. Emma explains that half the students have serious emotional and psychological trauma from the events of the last few months, including the decimation, the purifier attack, and limbo, is well beyond taking its toll. And Kitty's like, "Yay, school spirit!" And then we cut to everyone's sleeping in the living room, which is fun. Like, oh yeah, they're just having a campfire, so yeah, they would sleep in there. Lola gets up. Well, I'm not familiar with Lola either. She finds Elixir and she asks if he wants to make out, which turns him back to Goat as, yeah, why not? And then we see them all in their uniforms as this is the official new X-Men cast of Pixie, Rockslide, Mercury, Dust, Laura, Elixir, Anoli, Hellion, and Surge. Prodigy not part of the team. Then we cut to the Purifiers who are monitoring Predator X. And as the Beast has taken a different direction, and the Purifiers are pretty excited about it, which of course is leading to X-Men Messiah Complex. And then there's a last page pin up by Brian Hitch and Paul Mounts, who draws X-23, Mercury, and Surge as if they're in their late 20s, which is like, all right, Brian Hitch, you don't have to draw them sexy style. Like, I'm supposed to be barely 18. Like, I think we're good. So, whatever. And that, everyone, was New X-Men Volume 143. And I think we have one more 43 issue to do before February. And then we'll just knock out some of them. Um, but yeah, this Friday, January 31st, I'll be 43. So that's a number that really doesn't feel any different than 42, but I'll let you know more on Friday. So let's see what comics came out last week. So we had Hellverine 2, where um Akihiro went to Alaska and just helped out some like a zombie prime essentially. And Doctor Strange showed up and told him that there are darker forces at work, but it was a pretty solid issue. Iron Man 4 did not have any Emma content, but Scarlet Witch was there, so that's something. Mystique 4 was pretty solid, where Mystique is pretty much trying to stay away from Nick Fury Jr. until she finally needs to talk to him, but she's trying to find Destiny. And yeah, Phoenix 7, I don't know, best supporting cast in comics right now, which I think is more of a commentary on how comics don't have supporting casts anymore. But Jean pretty much defeats. Oh, spoilers for this week's comics. How many did I get into? Four? A little better, I think. Anyway, so Jean's had a new friend this whole time, and Jean defeats Thanos, and which it took me 7 issues and the comic to spell it out to me about how Jean's life and Thanos represents death. So, classic life versus death situation where I'm like, oh yeah. Um, and then the new friend turns bad, and now Jean has to fight the new friend where it's like, all right. TVA 2 did not feel as strong as TVA 1, but Gambit and Jimmy Hudson, known as Poison, I imagine because they don't want us to keep referring to him as the old universe, the Ultimate Universe's Wolverine's son, Hudson. But they're in like a spooky mansion, and um, I don't know. It's a lot of TVA business, which of course the comic series is called TVA. So, but it very struck me as like Quantum Leaps, like the new Quantum Leap on Peacock, where as soon as the story was getting good, you had to justify hiring Ernie Hudson and 5 other people to be the present day team. And I don't know, it always took me out of Quantum Leap where I'm like, man, I really wish we were just following Ben and they just referenced the home team and like, yeah, we're good. But so you get to TVA issue 2, a lot more TVA, whereas the first issue felt like a lot more the team itself. And so yeah. Uncanny X-Men 9, pretty great issue. Sentinels are now in the shape of wolves. Jubilee gives the Outliers $400 each, which I'm like, where did that money come from? And it's weird it came from Jubilee, but maybe Gambit gave him money from his thievery days. Or it's from Logan. I don't know. It's always like, where does the X-Men get money? Like whenever you see them eating a cheeseburger, it's like, where's that money coming from? Does all mutants get or all X-Men get like a $5,000 debit card and just go like, hey, and then you all created to ask for more money? Anyway, so they go to a mall, and then Becca, the human of the Coleco, uh, somehow summons Ember to fight off the Sentinels, and so I have a question if maybe we didn't see them that they hitched Ember to a horse trailer to their car, and that's how he's there, or does she have the ability to teleport him there, or does he have the ability? Um, Hopefully you get more information on that. Oh, we learned because Gail Simone hinted at one of these outliers has a connection to of a known mutant, and it turns out Ransom is Sunspot's cousin. I assume a distant cousin, as that will explain why Sunspot's never went, hey guys, I have a mutant cousin who, we could be using. Um, and what else was going on there? Oh yeah, and the issue ends with Death Dream dying, but I imagine that's just a fun way to show us how Death Dream's powers work, as he's probably gonna be okay. Um, oh yeah, and then Logan says Rogue is a great leader, and Scott and Xavier will be proud, but it's awkward timing because they were just in an adventure with Xavier and Scott, and it didn't seem like either of them took a time to be like, "Hey, Rogue, we're proud of you." Especially Scott, who seemed to have serious issues with her leadership skills. There was also a fun moment where Nightcrawler recommends they drink. a German beer instead of Gambit's beer. And I don't know, as a title where I was really hoping Nightcrawler was going to do a lot of cool stuff, he's not doing a lot of cool stuff. Rogue did say each member outlier will get an X-Men mentor, and so Logan got first picked and chose Sunspot. No, chose Ransom. Uh, I believe Gambit was gonna get Deathstream, and so now we have to decide who gets Calico and who gets Glitter, Jitter. And I assume Kurt's gonna get Jitter because they're both athletes. But I think it'd be more fun if Kurt and Calico paired up. But it's just because I want my favorite member of the team teamed up with my favorite member Outliers. But I don't know if I'm gonna get that. And then what if Galactus Transformed Rogue has been my favorite of these one shots so far? I didn't really read the Moon Knight one, but I read the Hulk one because I wasn't sure. And none of them reference each other, so they're pretty standalone. But Anno Senti did the wrote this one. Galactus poser from her, I don't know, mid teenage years. Like she's living with an aunt because her moms are away at the time. And actually, we get the impression that it's what if Rogue was not adopted by Mystique and Destiny? Because we get a fun page where she becomes the hero to Galactus, obviously. And then like Storm and Logan both have a feeling like, oh, we feel like we just lost something like historic. And then Destiny references that, oh, hey, a daughter we would have adopted has now gotten a new destiny. And yeah, and then Rogue just has a space adventure. So not too bad. Wolverine Revenge 4 by Hickman and Capullo. And I don't know, it's a solo Wolverine story in the future. And I don't know, I thought he killed Omega Red in issue 3, but it turns out Omega Red's alive with a group of um, goons. And so, but one of them is Colossus's son, who Logan also killed Colossus in issue 3. So it's like, well, is he dead? Because I thought Omega Red was dead for sure. I can only assume the son is actually Kitty's son as well, but we'll let the comic tell us that. So, Uncanny X-Men 9 was the best of the week, but I would have said Hellion 2 and Mystique 4 were solid as well. And and Galactus Transform Rogue and then Wolverine Revenge and TVA and Phoenix, that bottom tier. But also those titles are not for me, clearly. So let's see what comics are coming out for my birthday. Um, Deadpool 10, if you're so inclined. Uh, Hellhunters 2, where Logan's supposed to be in this now with a World War II era Ghost Rider and then the Howling Commandos. Issue 1 was pretty solid. Psylocke 3, where she teams up with Grey Crow, so we can get that Quan John action. Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk 2. Uh, Storm Life Dream 1. I wasn't even aware that was coming out. Ultimate X-Men 11, which now that we know Magic and Kitty are being in other Ultimate Wolverine, my excitement for Ultimate X-Men is not as high, but it's a solid issue. But now I'm not looking for every like hint I'm gonna get from any dialogue, but it's still Peach Momoko, so it's gonna be great. It's just, my second favorite Ultimate title. West Coast Avengers 3 with Firestar and Spider-Roman, Jessica Drew, and then Ultron nonsense. What if Galactus transformed Spider-Gwen? So that's a pass. Oh, X-Men 10 is probably gonna be the issue of that spotlights the episode if Magic has a big part in it. But maybe not because Psylocke with her ongoing took a back seat, so maybe Magic's gonna start taking a back seat. But how would we rank these? I don't recognize the creative team for Storm, Life Dream, Baxter, and Goblin. Like, all right. But X-Men 10, Ultimate, X-Men 11, Psylocke 3, Hellhunters 2, Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk 2. Oh no, I'll put West Coast Avengers 3 above Hellhunters and Sabretooth. And then Storm, Life Dream 1 as well, probably. I don't know. Oh, it has a Marvel Voices on the cover of Life Dream, so wonder what that's about. I guess we can click the link. Look at me doing things. Oh, this is actually cool. 50 years of stardom. For the first time ever, all black creator teams joined forces in a single anthology to honor the many extraordinary lives of War Monroe. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Um, I wonder if we're gonna get any Kitty Pryde in that. Seems to be the only way we would get any Lockheed stuff too if it's set in 80s stories. But yeah, that everyone was episode 161 of Shadow and Playing with Magic. So thank you so much for listening. I'm gonna post these the Prodigy panel and the Kitty Pride page on the podcast's socials at SNFWM, which would be Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitter, which I really should be dropping Instagram and Twitter, but no, but that's where the audience is, so I feel conflicted. Um, but yeah, but Blue Sky as well. And then you can follow me on all socials at JackoSII. And I'll talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.